Alright, I'm doing this middle part of the shelf already, so I'm going to show you some the DVDs and Blu-rays I got on this shelf. And, whoops, sorry not to do that to you. Kind of got you out of focus. Pick these up here so I could do this. Alright, speaking of new videos, I just picked up The Nutty Professor Part 1 and The Nutty Professor Part 2, but I realized I had a double, so I'm going to keep the one without the tape on it actually. So I'm going to keep that one. It's uncensored. I didn't think I had the uncensored. I just thought I had the regular version of The Nutty Professor, the clumps, because this is the uncensored director's cut. So, but I did not have the first one, so I was good on picking that one up. So now I got them two movies from Eddie Murphy. They'll go in the thing. Oh my. I always get kind of a little tired when I start doing this. But first up, we're going to have the Flintstones Viva Las Rock Vegas here. Just going to go over here in order. Then we're going to have Flowers in the Attic. Then we're going to have some Flubber, Robin Williams, the late great Robin Williams. Next up we got a movie called Flushed Away. Next up we got some John Wayne and Robert Ryan and the Flying Leathernecks. We also got this movie, The Final Girls. I'll have to find the spot for that one. Alright, next up we got John Carpenter's The Fog. Next up we got Sesame Street's Follow That Bird. I put it under the F for Follow That Bird. Next up we got some Fool's Gold with Kate Hudson and Matthew McConaughey. Shit. Next up we got The Foot Fist Way. Next up we got Kevin Bacon and Footloose. No, you gotta cut Footloose. Next up we got Paul Newman and Fort Apache, The Bronx. Let me see here. Okay. Next up we got some Free Guy with Ryan Reynolds, the 4K. Next up we got some Free State of Jones. We also got a movie called The Front Page, which I just recently picked up. You saw in the recent picked up video. And this one also, Forever Female. Next up we got a movie called French Kiss. And next up we got a movie called Frenzy. Frequency with Dennis Quaid and Jim Caviezel. Next up we got some Gene Hackman in The French Connection. And I don't know how many more of these are F's. So if you give me a minute, I will pause it right here and then we'll continue. Alright, we're back. course, we're looking at the VHS shelf. While I do this, I always put these movies in front of that to do it now. Next up, we got some Brian Dennehy and Brian Brown and FX. I need to find the second one so I can have them both. Next up, we got Jim Carrey and Tia Leone in Fun with Dick and Jane, the remake. Oh shit. Next up, we got George Segal and Jane Fonda in Fun with Dick and Jane, the original. Next up, we got some Adam Sandler and Funny People. Next up, we got Audrey Hepburn and Fred Astaire and Funny Face. Next up, we got Oliver Platt and Jerry Lewis and Funny Bones. That's right, I said Jerry Lewis. A lot of people might not have heard that one. Next up, we got Robert Shaw and Harrison Ford in Force 10 from Navarone. One of the movies he made right after Star Wars, or right around the same time as Star Wars. I think this came out in '78, so this was a year after Star Wars. Next up, we got some Jackie Chan in The Foreigner. Next up, we got a movie called Foreign Exchange. Followed by Billy Crystal and Deborah Winger in Forget Paris. Next up, we got Michael J. Fox in For the Love of Money. Next up, we got Samuel L. Jackson and Robert Carlyle in Formula 51. Followed by Christopher Lambert in The Fortress. Next up, we got Ice Cube and Chris Tucker in Friday. The only one I have of the series. Next up, we got Fried Green Tomatoes. Followed by Friends with Benefits. Followed by Susan George in the movie Fright. Next up, we got Michael J. Fox in the director's cut of The Frighteners. Followed by Fright Night, the original Fright Night movie. This is the Steelbook 4K. Ain't that cool? We got Jerry Dandridge on the back there. Played by Chris Sarandon. Next up, we got the sequel to the original one, Fright Night 2. And the little tagline, do you have a taste for horror? Terror? I mean terror, not horror. The suckers are back. This is a Lionsgate release. Next up, we got Johnny Depp in From Hell. A little story about Jack the Ripper. Next up, I got Sean Connery in From Russia with Love. Followed by Frank Sinatra, Burt Lancaster, and Donna Reed in From Here to Eternity. Also Montgomery Clift. Can't forget him. Next up, we got the movie Frozen, which I want to tell people that shop at Goodwill, always check your disc. was like one of the first ones I bought there, and I didn't know about checking your disc. And now it's just a DVD copy. It's not the Blu-ray copy, but I'll keep this till I find the Blu-ray copy. Maybe give that to my daughter or somebody. Next up, we got Frozen 2, the 4K version. This is a Target only edition, special edition. Next up, we got the movie called 42nd Street. Dick Powell and Ruby Keeler. Followed by Josh Hartnett in 40 Days and 40 Nights. Followed by Tony Curtis in 40 Pounds of Trouble. This was actually filmed in Disneyland. Some parts. Alright. Next up, we got Jack Nicholson, Warren Beatty, and Stockard Channing in The Fortune. Next up, we got some Gary Cooper and Ingrid Bergman in For Whom the Bells Toll. Next up, we got some James Bond and For Your Eyes Only. Followed by Goldie Hawn, Chevy Chase, and Foul Play. Next up, we got Steve Carell in The 40-Year-Old Virgin, the unrated edition. Next up, we got Disney's Fox and the Hound. Followed by a movie called Frank. This is a weird one. Next up, we got Vince Vaughn and Paul Giamatti and Fred Claus. Followed by Harrison Ford and The Fugitive. And the last of the elves that's going to be on this shelf. No, wait a minute. Yeah, yes. We got The Funhouse, Tobe Hooper film. Very good. Very good. Underrated horror film. People need to see this one. Alright, we'll be back with what's left on the shelf in a minute. Alright. Here we go with the rest of the shelf. As you see, I got it filled out. We got The Gallows. We got Michael Douglas in The Game. We got a movie with Gerard Butler and Gamer. We got Game Night. We got Gandhi. We got Gangs of New York. We got The Garden State. We got Gator. We got Gator Bait with Claudia Jennings. That Gator was Burt Reynolds. Next up, we got Gator Bait 2. Getting tongue-tied there. Next up, we got Clint Eastwood in The Gauntlet. Next up, Gregory Peck in Gentleman's Agreement. Next up, we got George of the Jungle 2. I have George of the Jungle 1 on VHS. Haven't found the DVD or Blu-ray, if it is available, either way, on that format yet. We got Steve McQueen and Ally McGraw in The Getaway, the original, There's a remake that I don't have with Kim Basinger and Alec Baldwin. I don't have that one. But I got that one. Next up, we got John Travolta, Get Shorty, Gene Hackman, Rene Russo, and Danny DeVito. Next up, we got Get Smart. Next up, we got Gettysburg, the director's cut. Next up, we got G-Force. Next up, we got Ghost. Alright, where was I? Was I on Ghost? I think Ghost was the last one we did. My wife called, so I had to take it. Taking the daughter school shopping, so she might not be back before I have to go to work. So she just wanted to let me know. Alright, back to my movies. Next up, we got Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters 2. The Ghostbusters remake with the women. Not really a remake, but just a version of... They call it a remake? I don't know. It's the all-women's cast of Ghostbusters. I don't have the two newer ones yet. I want to. I will. Plus, I want to get Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters 2 on 4K. I know they're available. I just haven't had time to get. I haven't got them. They've been the right price for me. Next up, I got Ghost Rider. Nicolas Cage. And Nicolas Cage in Ghost Rider 2. Spirit of Vengeance. Next up, we got a movie called Ghost Ship. I like that. I like how that cover does that on there. I probably will never give it that up, even if I find it on Blu-ray, because the way the cover goes, you can see the ghostly shape like that. Next up, we got Elvis Presley and G.I. Blues. We got The Gift. We got The Girl in the Crawl Space is the next one here. Then we got The Girl in the Photographs. We got The Girl on the Train. Then we got Girls Just Want to Have Fun. Sarah Jessica Parker, Helen Hunt, and Shannon Doherty, which we just lost a couple weeks ago, and prayers go out to her family. Next up, we got Gladiator with Russell Crowe, which part 2 will be coming out in the theater here soon. Next up, we got Samuel L. Jackson and Bruce Willis and James McAvoy and Glass. Next up, we got James Stewart and June Allison in the Glenn Miller story. Ooh, my leg is falling asleep. Next up, we got Glory. Matthew Broderick and Morgan Freeman and Denzel Washington. I think, is Morgan Freeman in that? Yeah, he is. Alright, I wanted to make sure. Next up, we got a movie called Go. Oh, I guess that's all I can fit there, huh? Go, which will go on the top shelf. Then we got The Godfather with Marlon Brando and Al Pacino. Then we got The Godfather Part 2 with Al Pacino and Robert De Niro and James Caan's in the first one. Robert Duvall. They're all there. Next up, we got Al Pacino and The Godfather Part 3. Next up, we got Gods in General, the director's cut. I'm going to go 3. Oh, okay. We'll slide that there, and there. And next up, we got Pierce Brosnan and Golden Eye, followed by Sean Connery and Goldfinger. Next up, we got Gone in 60 Seconds, the original. Then we got Gone in 60 Seconds, the director's cut with Nicolas Cage and Angelina Jolie. Then we have Gone with the Wind, but it's not going to fit. It'll be going down on this bottom part right here. The Wind, and so will Greystoke, The Legend of Tarzan with Christopher Lambert. Will also go down to that. Alright, don't forget to give a thumbs up and subscribe. I appreciate you all watching. And though it's been a while since I posted a video, but here you go. Here's another video. Hopefully it will satisfy some of you for a while. Until next time, see ya.